Hey Capricorns, welcome to Eight of Cups Tarot and welcome to your cards for May. A couple of things before I get into these cards really quickly. There's something very profound happening. Well, there's actually a couple really profound astrological events happening that will specifically affect Capricorn this month. And one of them is a shifting of the nodes. As the nodes enter the very earliest degree of Cancer and Capricorn, they take on the purest energy, and there's a push. There's a push to make sure that you learn the lessons, that you understood the plans, that you're on the right path. It feels as though the divine is in overdrive, trying to get you to move in the direction you need to move. And if there's any resistance on your part, well, the restrictions will become more severe, more restrictive, and you'll find yourself with fewer choices. So I guess what I'm saying is to kind of allow in the month of May, knowing that there may be times when you're really emotional, a little bit raw, your moods can be up and down, even if you've been learning how to control those emotions and to have more control over your emotional environment. You know, these are some of the things that we've been working on, some of the themes that have come up for all of us in the past 18 months. You know, quality of life. There's a need for balance between your outer world, your social world, and your inner world. And we switch over to a Gemini-Sag axis, which could be a tricky energy for a Capricorn. One, it's squaring you, and two, it kind of brings things into a very fast-paced, optimistic, lighter movement, which is probably a relief for most people. But Capricorn doesn't realize how much of their own element they've been in, and how much of a need there is for change. I think Capricorns have done the work. I think they've probably been through the most. And I think there's a realization of what it was all about this month. I think May brings you an intense amount of clarity, of truth, of a vision, of what you want the bigger picture to be. And I think with the clear vision comes immediate results. Now you're coming out this month as the Princess of Cups. And to me, oh, this isn't going to focus. Let's see. Sorry, guys. To me, the Princess of Cups is always kind of refreshing. Yes, she can be naive. She could be almost childlike. She could be innocent. The intentions are probably very pure at this time. You're probably trying not to hurt anyone. You're probably operating from an immense amount of compassion for others. But that could only come from a place of giving that to yourself. And that has been that North Node in Cancer all along, where we've learned how to love ourselves again, and how in improving the way that we love ourselves, in falling in love with truly who we are, starting that, you know, Princess of Cups, she doesn't really give a damn what other people think, right? She's not concerned with the material world. She's just really in touch with her emotions. Her heart is on her sleeve. There's a sparkle in her eye, and she kind of is the epitome of unconditional love and acceptance. And your environment this month is the moon. Now, funny we say the moon, as I just gave you this long-winded explanation of the nodes and what they're doing. But this card in particular, when it comes out in this position, always reminds me that we're giving birth to something. We are going through the very final stages of a cycle. Things are ending, but new things are beginning. You know, it is much like having a child. There's so much excitement and worry. There's so much duality. If you see this card, there's two people. There's two sides. There's two sides to the emotions, and it's all about the cycles, you know. It's all about the timing, and it's all about allowing it to happen. The moon, we don't have control. We're sort of at the mercy of others. We're at the mercy of nature, at the mercy of the laws of the universe. There's a different kind of light that we're entering now. There's comfort in the dark. You know, there's a sense that it could be very, very hard, but it's very, very worth it. And I think that's what you're going through. And as I talked about how we've been learning, I say we, I'm a Capricorn rise as well, so I'm right there in the trenches with you. We have been learning the ups and downs of our emotions and how to control it and how to stay in the middle. How in being in the middle, that is truly the only sense of control that we have. That is truly the only free will that we have is our choice in how we react to things. We can't control other people or their thoughts or their opinions or their actions. There's only control over what we do of our behavior. And our behavior stems from our emotional reactions. And I think we've done a great job of taming things. If you think back 18 months ago, 2 years ago at this time, if you think back and you give yourself some credit for as far as you've gone, you may have lost so much. You may have been through the greatest amounts of contrast, the greatest greats, the lowest lows. You know, I mean, that's been for all of us. But in it, there was so much growth. And if you take a moment to look back and see how far you've come, that love for yourself will only grow from there. You know, if you recognize how the time has served its purpose, how all of the things that happened needed to happen, because in the undoings, in the tragedies and the losses, we found ourselves. And we had to struggle. We really had to struggle to get back to who we were. And so it's a testament now to your strength, and it's a testament to how much you continue to love yourself and make yourself the center of your world. pulled the card of the Blood Angel, the Rumi cards, and I do want to read you a little bit of this. But this is also a cyclical energy. The oracle of the Blood Angel comes to you with particular message. You are being given the gift of more life. You may experience this as growth, expansion, more energy, more life force, or divine electricity, the gift of greater life, which enables a soul to live more of its essence, becoming a more palpable divine presence upon this earth. There are many unavoidable experiences. One of these is that there will be more sunsets to counter the increase in your sunrises. This is about balance. When opening up to receive more, one needs to empty out what has been to allow for the new influx of energy. It is not about an exchange of equal measure, for you will receive according to the great generosity of life itself, and thus even more shall be offered in compensation for what you are willing to release. However, release must take place. Balance is the natural law. The sunset makes way for a time of night that might be the darkness of grief or the stirring of unknown places within that only reveal themselves in clarity the following morning. Being ready to endure the sunset and the night, to become ready to receive the sunrise, and with it more life, is your divine task now. So I said to you in January, things are about to get really hard. In fact, I'm pretty sure I started saying that in December at the very least. And that energy isn't going away anytime soon. But it is starting to bring gifts. South Node at the very earliest degrees of Capricorn in its purest form. There are gifts you have mastered. There are cycles that have ended. And there is a shedding. Blood Angel, much as it kind of depicts, there's a shedding within us of what used to be. There are things in our life that fit our vibration before all of this happened, and before we had to become a different version of ourselves. And now that we have found a way to trust this new version of ourselves, we started to step into the new uniform and, kind of give it life and give it personality and give it form, this new character that we've become. Things will have to fall away because they just simply don't operate at that vibration anymore. They can't match you. And there's periods of time where people that are meant to stay in your lives have to catch up. And there's a finding balance in the new and getting comfortable. And I really think that that's what May is all about. It is finding comfort in the completeness before entering the new. Let's get into your weeklies. Beginning of the month, 5 of Swords in reverse, 8 of Swords in reverse. Well, this is extremely productive energy, just in the fact that you're acknowledging that there's no productivity to come from your energy. I think Capricorns are starting the month realizing that they need to get things back into focus. This is where we go back to work. We go back to the office. We start to get a schedule. Maybe the gyms have started opening. and we can go back to that 6 a.m. workout, and, you know, everything else just kind of starts to fall into place. There's a sense of routine and control. There's a sense of, you know, maybe your focus was so scattered that you really started to beat yourself up. And I can attest for that energy without a doubt. It was very hard to operate in a different environment. Again, with the technology was always something was not working right, and it was frustrating, and it was really hard to keep my vibration up due to that frustration. And as I started to get further and further and deeper into that energy, because it happens quickly, I realized that the things around me started to look less favorable. So for instance, you know, I'm sitting at my office and I can't get my VPN connection to work, or I can't log in correctly to this Zoom meeting, and I'm getting really frustrated, and I'm looking out my window and I'm sick of the weather, and my landscaping needs work and I can't seem to get out there. My house is a mess and I could be doing laundry, but I'm sitting in the office, and you know, it's just a lot of scattered energy, and it was hard to focus. And I started to realize how it was affecting other parts of my life, my relationships with my loved ones, my coworkers. I became probably annoyed a little bit quicker and defensive. And I started to really beat myself up and kind of become my own bully. Like, you know, putting yourself to bed every night and thinking of all the things you didn't get done, all of the ways in which you could have been better. And that's just not a healthy energy. And you realize that now, starting off in May, that the lack of focus is exactly what's keeping you trapped and overwhelmed. And the King of Swords in the challenge position tells me that the problem is you are not living in the now. And you're not living your truth. There are areas of your life that you're not happy with. And they may be things you're avoiding dealing with, conversations you don't want to have. There's a shifting of the energy, and I think you have so much on your mind that you're not staying in the moment. Let me take a sip of water. As soon as I brought that up about conversations you're trying to avoid, honestly, my throat just like closed up. If you are avoiding conversations, the energy is just going to get so bad. You know, the bubble will eventually burst. And the King of Swords can be really domineering. He could be really head over heart. In moments of being overwhelmed, he may forget to be compassionate to others. He may forget to be compassionate in himself. I think the King of Swords demands such a high level of activity and productivity and creativeness, and you know, you may be your own worst enemy in this first week. Which makes sense because the energy of the first week flows into the energy of the second week, which is the bubble bursting. 3 of Swords and the Strength card. The bubble bursts, the things are said, the feelings are undeniable. And it's about time. I think, the overall energy coming out as the Ace of Swords, some Capricorns might hear news or communication that breaks their heart. There could be disappointments. There could be unrequited love. Due to their lack of focus, there could be loss. And the outcome being the Strength card means that you have the endurance, that you can and will overcome it, and it will ultimately lead to the healing, because that's what the Three of Swords is. It's finally bringing those old wounds to the surface so that they can heal. And the Strength card says that you will overcome. They will be healed. But the Strength card means there's stuff that you have to be strong about, right? There are places and times when you have to be the one to hold yourself up. And so now is not the time for Capricorns to get stuck in their heads about being a failure, not providing enough, not doing enough, not getting enough done, counting all of the ways in which you're behind in life, and, getting lost in all of the things that are overwhelming you is just simply getting in the negativity, and there's no time, because you need the Strength now. Challenge card is the Hanged Man. There could be frustration. You could be forced to wait. There could be an enlightenment, or you could be refusing to see the enlightenment with a Hanged Man. Someone in your environment, maybe somebody that you love very much, is just not getting on board with Capricorn's new version of self. Be aware, because the level that you push yourself, Capricorn, is so much more than what you expect from others. I think that Capricorns get a really bad rep for demanding so much from people and setting such high expectations, when in fact Capricorns are not lacking compassion as much as they are just that much harder on themselves. I don't see a lot of demanding from Capricorns. I just don't. You have Cancer in your 7th house, meaning that you tend to distract yourself from the burdens of all your responsibilities. You tend to get lost in the nurturing of others. It's actually how you soothe yourself, in your devotion and love to others. And that's a tough transition through all of this, is that I think as Capricorns transform, so do their relationships, and they are so profoundly loyal to their relationships. Capricorns are very likely to stay in old relationships, old jobs, things that no longer resonate with them, and they tend to stick around because they have such an automatic sense of loyalty, of responsibility for those around them. And I think this is a changing of the guard for a lot of Capricorns. Because I think with the moon and the Princess of Cups, I think there's a lot of intuition coming from my Capricorns, a lot of getting into your feelings. The North Node in Cancer, becoming really, really aware of what you want in this life, of what the emotional fulfillment is. Wheel of Fortune and the Ten of Wands is exactly what the Blood Angel card is saying. Gifts are being brought to you. Circumstances are changing rapidly. And they are, because all of this air energy makes things less dense. It's easier to manifest. There's less resistance. And you want to stay in that place. But you have to make room for the new things to come in. You have to clear out the old. There are processes that need to take place. Now is that final push. And it's a push in the right direction. Because once you get over that finish line, which I see by the end of these retrogrades, by this fall, I think Capricorns will be living a much different reality than they are right now. I think we're all stuck in these two different worlds. And, you know, the Lover's card will attest to that choice, picking that identity, picking what you want. This is a period when you make the choice. And May will make it very clear to you on the path that you want to take. And it is the path of least resistance. And it appears as though you are so used to carrying so much, Capricorn. You are so comfortable with those heavy burdens that the universe has to pour it down upon you until you finally drag your tired body across that finish line and drop all of those wands. There is intense relief ahead. By the third week in May, you are making headway. Things are rapidly changing and you see it. And the challenge card is the Four of Swords. It is resting. It is knowing when to push hard, knowing when to ask for help. It is knowing when to rest, making sure that going within and being clear on your emotions at all times. Still focusing on you and your mental health. Your happiness has to be the precedent right now, Capricorn. And there may be things you have to walk away from. There may be people you have to walk away from in order to maintain the vibration you need to reach the goals. And the goals are real. Because by the end of May, the Hierophant and the Lovers, the path is chosen, the decision is made. Everything is divinely in order, and your challenge card is the Emperor. Well, the challenge card could be you trying to control situations, trying to hold on, trying not to disappoint anyone, which is not possible. People will be disappointed, but this is their path too. You may be doing them favors as well. There are blessings in disguise all over this. And to be honest with you, you may be the greatest, let's say you're the greatest veterinarian in the world. But you do it for 30 years. and you start to get up and you start to really hate the routine. You start to resent the office. You start to see all the things that you haven't been able to keep up on, all of the updates you haven't done, how behind and overwhelmed you are. And the only clarity you have in the situation is that you would just rather not do it anymore. There's a sense of getting very, very exhausted just before the breakthrough. And the breakthrough is so worth it. The Hierophant, it's commitment, it's balance, it's a spiritual growth. It is attaining a level of ascension and understanding. And the Lovers, meaning that now you have mastered the part of you that can give love, as well as the part of you that knows how to receive love. There's a spiritual balancing. Your oracle card. The Tao is in the middle. It's a place where there is no energy pushing in either direction. Challenge card, 3rd week, 4 of Swords. You have to have a coping mechanism, Capricorn, because there's so many ups and downs throughout this month. As the Moon card suggests, you have to make going within a priority. You have to be able to stay in the moment. You have to be able to pause when you get into a negative mindset, and you have to be able to reset it. You know, coping mechanisms. One day I was feeling very uneasy and nervous, and I found myself kind of like listening to other tarot readers and starting to kind of make assumptions and getting nervous about things, and I really just didn't like the energy, and I hadn't been there in a long time, so the contrast was clear. I knew I was searching for an answer I just wasn't meant to have yet, and in the searching, I caused myself pain and strife, and all of that was an illusion. There was no reality that it was based on. And I was able to catch myself, and I just said, "This is bullshit. You gotta take a beat." And so I went on Netflix, and I just kind of randomly, I think I turned on like a Joe Rogan stand-up. I took a break. I took 10 minutes, and I listened to some mindless jokes. And I raised my vibration, and then I got back to work, because I knew my focus was really important. But I also knew that my emotional, vibrational place was also really, really important. Maintaining that balance within you. Not avoiding the tough conversations. We're growing up this month, Capricorn. You're giving birth. You're changing in every sense. And there's scariness, you know, if you've ever had a baby, if you've ever brought a baby home from a hospital, you know, there's all of the complaining about, I shouldn't say, and not everybody complains, but you know, there's so much discomfort at the end of the pregnancy, and then you're kind of afraid of the birth, and you kind of just wish the whole thing would be over. And then first-time moms tend to switch into that mindset of, oh, but wait, when this is over and I leave the hospital and I go home and I'm all alone, and it's just me, and what if I don't know what I'm doing? What if I sleep through the baby crying? What if I, you know, and all of a sudden all of this fear sits in about all of the ways that maybe you're about to get the greatest gift you've ever been given in your lifetime. And you're taking a minute to sit back and say, wait, am I good enough? Am I going to mess this up? And it's okay. It's okay to make sure you're okay. It's okay to make sure that you're ready. But it's not okay to talk yourself out of it. And it's not okay to say you're not ready for it. And it's not okay to keep blocking it. The universe wants to see you grow. I want to see you grow. Everyone wants to see you grow, Capricorn. And so you got to do the things this month. You got to do the things. You got to have the conversations. You got to tell people how you feel, where you need help, where you're overwhelmed. Talk, communicate, find truth in the fact that if you get chastised for expressing yourself, then that means you're not in the right relationship. It means you're not in the right job. It means that you're not being loved. And you have to allow yourself to be loved. I have a feeling that's what this Venus retrograde is going to show you. All right, Capricorn. I pulled the, really quickly, I pulled some, the magic of the sexual tarot. I don't even know. I pulled these cards. I don't like to show them really clear on the screen because the images are a little bit illicit, but you do get a really clear sense. And I pulled these in case some of you are really here just to figure out what's going on in a specific love relationship. I think a lot of us are here for love. You know, love's become a bigger priority in our lives. We're less distracted with work and stuff, so it seems natural. You got the card of Temperance, Ace of Chalices, and the Ten of Pentacles. Temperance card being that I think you're maybe enchanting somebody now. I think you have all the tools and all the know-how to really take precedence in someone's life, to work the energy so that both you and this other person could see you for, you know, who you truly are, start to see you in your full power. And the Ace of Chalices is all about the love, the admittance of love. It's all about the intimacy, the allowing, the receiving. It's, you know, it starts with loving yourself and then understanding that emotion and allowing someone else to love you, and that's a whole nother ball game. And once you master that comes a Ten of Pentacles. I think this love wants to also bring you balance. There seems to be a coming together of your energy where once you allow love in your life, the rest kind of takes precedence as well. Listen, this is big. I'm looking at your cards right now, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 major arcana. I mean, that's crazy. This is definitely a month of really big changes for my Capricorns. It seems really exciting. Stay in your power, Caps, but be loved. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.